Welcome, everyone, to the astrology overview for April of 2026. We're going to start with the month at a glance because April doesn't ease you in. It opens with a full moon revelation, and it builds through a series of conjunctions that demand courage and closes with a significant ingress. As a 5 month and a 1 year, the theme is unmistakable. Change is not coming, change is here. And so resilience and adaptability are the strategies for the month. As I go through this, I want to mention that I utilize a digital transit calendar that was created by Tiffany Harelik. And if you're interested in following the daily astrology transits yourself, you can go to my website, www.juliemayastrology.com/resources to purchase it. There's a coupon code on there for $10 off. Let's start with April 1st. As I said, starts out with a bang. We have a full moon in Libra at 12 degrees. So that is more is revealed, pivot, and commit. The month opens at full illumination, and the full moon in Libra lights up the axis of self and other relationships and partnerships, the ongoing negotiation between what you need and what someone else needs. What has been quietly building in your closest connections is now fully visible. So see it clearly and name it honestly, then choose. Libra can weigh endlessly in thinking, but the full moon doesn't offer that luxury. Something that's been in the balance must now tip. All right, so another big one for the month is April 12th. Mars conjunct Neptune at 2 degrees of Aries. And that's courage meeting vision, acting from faith and not fear. So Mars and Neptune meet in the early degrees of Aries, and that's the warrior and the mystic occupying the same space. So this is not a transit for sharp, calculated action. It's for the kind of mood that comes from something deeper than strategy, a creative leap, a courageous step towards something you can feel, but maybe not fully see. So the shadow here is confusion. It's taking action without direction or energy that's scattered across too many fronts. The medicine is trust, moving forward to what is genuinely calling you, not what you think you should want. Then, April 13th, Venus in 16 degrees Taurus sextiles Jupiter in 16 degrees of Cancer. So open your hands and receive. This is one of the most genuinely generous aspects of the month. So Venus is in her home sign of Taurus, reaching toward Jupiter in Cancer in a flowing, harmonious sextile. So it's about abundance and warmth and nourishment. Relationships feel easier around this time, and creative work flows. Financial matters may open up in expected ways. This isn't a transit that demands anything of you. It simply asks, are you available to receive what's being offered? So let yourself say yes. Also, on April 16th, we have a cazimi. The sun is conjunct Chiron at 26 degrees of Aries, and Mars in 5 degrees of Aries is sextiling Pluto in 5 degrees of Aquarius. All of that around the same time, that's calling you to heal the wound and then build with it. So April 16th carries a double hit, and it's worth paying close attention to. The cazimi, the sun conjunct Chiron at 26 degrees of Aries, is a moment of profound healing potential. And when a planet sits at the exact heart of the sun, it is said to be illuminated and purified and given new life. Chiron, being the wounded healer, is the part of us that carries an old, deep hurt and eventually discovers that the wound actually becomes the source of wisdom and service. And in Aries, this wound is often around identity and courage and the right to exist fully and to take up space. The sun shining directly on Chiron today says, look at this. Not to reopen it, you may have already healed it, but to finally see it more clearly and begin to integrate it more fully. And on that same day, as I mentioned, Mars is in 5 degrees of Aries, sextiling Pluto in 5 degrees of Aquarius, where Saturn sextiled Pluto at the end of March with a quiet structural power. Mars now brings that fire to that same degree, but this sextile activates the will, the courage to act on what needs to change personally and collectively in Aquarius. So combined with that Chiron Cazimi, this is a day where healing and empowered action are available at the same time. That's rare, so use it wisely. On April 17th, we have a new moon in Aries at 27 degrees, and that's about planting a seed and beginning. That new moon in Aries is the purest new beginning of the astrological year. Aries is the first sign, the initiator, the one who moves before the path is fully mapped. This lunation is the first in like a 27-month cycle. You'll want to set your intentions, and it asks you to identify what you were genuinely, excuse me, ready to begin, not what you've been meaning to start, not what looks good on paper, but what your gut says yes to, what your instinct says yes to, what your intuition is telling you. So plant it here. Aries energy doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It creates them by moving. Then on April 19th, we have Mars conjunct Saturn at 7 degrees of Aries. So it's telling you to do the hard thing. It's time to do the hard thing. Mars meets Saturn in Aries, and the energy sharpens considerably. This is not a soft or easy aspect. It's the moment where desire meets discipline and where what you want comes face to face with what it actually costs. Mars, of course, wants to move fast, and Saturn says, not without structure. Hold on here. Together in Aries, they can forge something extraordinarily strong, but only if you're willing to do the work without the shortcuts. So frustration is possible here. So is real lasting progress. The difference is in your intention. On April 20th, Mercury is conjunct Saturn at 7 degrees of Aries, and Mercury is conjunct Mars in a little bit at 8 degrees of Aries. So say the true thing, mean it. Mercury moves through the same degrees as Saturn and Mars in quick succession, adding that dimension of communication to the intensity that's already present. So words carry real weight today, and conversations that you may have postponed may no longer be avoidable, and commitments made in speech become binding, not legally, but energetically. This is a day to say what you mean and mean what you say. The truth, spoken with clarity and courage, can move mountains under this energy. On April 23rd, Venus is conjunct Uranus at 29 degrees of Taurus, the anaretic degree, and then it moves into Gemini. So expect the unexpected and then follow it. Before Venus crosses into Gemini, she meets Uranus at that final degree of Taurus. The anaretic degree, as I said, the threshold moment at 29 degrees carries urgency, a last chance quality, a sense of something needing to be resolved or released before the door closes. Venus and Uranus together are electric, sudden attractions, unexpected shifts in relationships, maybe financial surprises, or a value system of yours that gets shaken loose from what you thought you knew. This is not a gentle transit, it's a revelation. And then Venus steps into Gemini and the energy lifts, it lightens, it accelerates, and attraction becomes more intellectual in form. Connection happens through conversation, through wit, through the spark of a mind that surprises you. This is a lighter, more playful energy, and it's the kind that enjoys the exchange as much as the outcome, like the flirtation in it. Let yourself be interested. Let yourself be interesting. The arc of this day moves from disruption to curiosity, from the shock of what just changed to the light of what's now possibly. So trust both. It's what's meant to happen. On April 25th, the sun in 5 degrees of Taurus squares Pluto in 5 degrees of Aquarius. So it's about, what are you worth? Really, what are you worth? The sun in Taurus moves into a square with Pluto in Aquarius, and the question of value becomes unavoidable because Taurus asks us what we cherish, what we hold, what we call ours. And Pluto asks whether those things still serve us or whether we've outgrown them and are simply afraid to let go. So this square can bring up some power dynamics to the surface around money or self-worth or security. But don't avoid what's coming up because the discomfort is pointing at something real. And that same day, Uranus enters Gemini. Everything changes starting now. This lasts about a decade. And this is the transit that will define, well, it's more like 7 to 8 years. This transit will define the next 7 years. So Uranus, the planet of revolution and disruption and radical innovation, the inventor, it leaves Taurus, where it has been reshaping our relationship to money and land and the body and material security since 2018, even though it um, was here last summer for a little bit and then it moved back in retrograde into Taurus. It's finally moving into Gemini to stay for a while. So the focus is shifting on what we own, how we think, how we speak, how we connect, and how we exchange information. And so expect the unexpected in the realms of those areas: communication and technology, media, education, and the way ideas move through the world, AI. This is not a small shift. Pay attention to what begins to change in your own life around this date. It's showing you where the next chapter is being written. So the thread that's running through April is convergence. It opens with revelation and it closes with that Uranus revolution in Aquarius, in Gemini. In between Mars, Saturn, and Mercury cluster in Aries, demanding that you show up with courage and a willingness to do what the moment requires. The Chiron Cazimi on the 16th offers that genuine moment of healing in the middle of all that fire, and a reminder that the wounds we carry are not obstacles to the path. They are part of your path. The gentle sextile between Venus and Jupiter on the 13th is your reminder that not everything in this month is hard. There is genuine warmth and abundance available if you stay open to it. So the invitation in April is stop waiting to feel ready, because this 5-month energy, the Aries new moon, Uranus crossing into Gemini, they are all saying the same thing. The time is now. The path becomes clear by walking it. So that's April in a nutshell. And thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next month. Have a great month.